3 years of player feedback. One update to answer it. On April the 7th, 2026, Bethesda dropped Free Lanes and Terran Armada, and for the first time since launch, you can actually fly your ship through space. But the real story isn't just what changed, it's how Bethesda decided what to change and why that matters for the game's future. Before the changes, you need to understand the filter. Lead creative producer Tim Lamb was unusually transparent about this, right? Bethesda holds a weekly call reviewing community activity. They're tracking what we're saying, but they don't act on everything. His exact framing for this was, we try to lean in on the things where our idea of what Starfield should be aligns with the community's feedback. The lauded voices do not win. The most active players do. Right? People with hundreds and hundreds of hours, people with thousands of hours, asking for specific expansions of systems that they already love. That's why this is not a redesign, right? It is a targeted yes to documented complaints from players who clearly never stopped caring about the game. Now, the big one that was fix number one. When Starfield launched in 2023, players quickly realised that space wasn't really space. It was a menu, it was a loading screen. Getting anywhere meant stacking loading screen on loading screen. One early review called the spaceship almost completely optional. For a space RPG, that's absolutely brutal, right? But what Free Lanes does is it adds cruise mode. Real-time interplanetary flight within star systems. 4 speed tiers from slow orbital drift to fast interplanetary transits. You stay at the helm, or you use autopilot and wander around your ship. When a random encounter does spawn mid-flight, the view blurs softly, pretty much like going to warp, and then you arrive, right? There's no hard cut. Yes, it could be a loading screen disguised, but there is no hard cut here. Tim Lamb has admitted that I'm not going to undersell what it took to get right, which explains why it took 3 years. This wasn't a patch, it was a technical rebuild, and it changes the feel of the entire game. So let's look at fix number 2, right? Repetitive points of interest. This one is a lot nerdier, but the community had fully documented it and modders had already fixed it multiple times with lots of different mods, which I've also covered as well on the channel. Points of interest on planets were repeating constantly because the cooldown timer was completely misconfigured. A Nexus mods upload called POI cooldown solved that, and by later 2025 Reddit was openly asking why Bethesda hadn't patched the base game. Well, they have now. The update reworks distribution and cooldown timers and adds new dungeons and space encounters. Lamb has confirmed it was a direct community response. We went back and we looked at the cooldown system. Console players especially are going to feel this difference. Let's look at fix number 3, right? New Game Plus. This is the one that hurt long-time retention the most. Now, if you look at previous figures, Starfield tanked, right? Once people had got to NG Plus and gone through that loop, stepping through the Unity was meant to be the end game. But it cost you absolutely everything, and that's where the viewership and the hardcore players dropped off. It cost you everything. Ships, gear, outposts, crafted weapons, research progress, all gone. Steam forums from 2023 have players saying things like, money is not the issue. Crafted ships, all my weapons, losing all that is thoroughly stupid. So they just didn't go through it. And I'm one of those guys. I have not been through Unity, right? I will go through Unity now because this New Game Plus loop has changed. But what that meant was it meant Bethesda built an entire multi-cycle endgame that a lot of players never actually touched. Now don't get me wrong guys, you've got plenty of people out there on NG10, NG20, and above. Let me know in the comments which NG Plus you're on. The fix is the quantum entanglement device, right? You build it at the lodge, you load up to 50 mass of items. That is expandable to 200 mass with Quantum Essence, and it carries your gear through the Unity and deposits it on the other side. Weapons, suits, crafted gear, all of it survives. Ship does not. Okay, so you'll still need to rebuild ships. Lamb's quote said, "The attachment that players felt to the things they'd gathered meant they didn't want to part with them." And that's correct. It was a bridge too far. Quantum Essence also now drops from destroying Starborn ships, and that can be spent directly upgrading Starborn powers, so you're not grinding 10 cycles just to reclaim abilities as well. Now, Fix 4, Endgame Gear and Outposts. The two fixes in this section, they're connected, right? First, we've got X-Tech, a new rare crafting resource earned from Terran Armada incursion events. You spend it at a workbench to roll legendary modifiers onto gear, reroll existing ones to chase your build, or unlock new rank 4 legendary tier with effects like Bloodthirsty, which heals on kill, or Kismet, which gives a 25% chance to triple your magazine on reload. You can also spend X-Tech at the new ship optimization terminal to improve ship attributes directly. This is the endgame loop that Starfield never ever had, right? Now, second, Outposts. The shared outpost container is exactly what it sounds like. Build one at each outpost and your inventory is accessible across all of them. 2 years of being the most upvoted request in feedback threads, and it's finally here. Alongside it, a production rate display, a more precise placement mode, and a planet materials database so you're not cross-referencing a wiki to track your resources. Now we're going to look at the smaller stuff, right? And what didn't change. There was a few smaller changes that are worth flagging. The landing camera, that now has an always show toggle because players spent real resources building ships they never got to watch land. Expert and Master locked containers now have better loot. 3 specific pistols, the XM2311, the Old Earth pistol, and Livingston's pistol, had a broken jump reload animation that's now been fixed as well. 2 long broken missions, refurbished goods, and guilty parties are finally functional. And Xbox Series X players get a visual performance toggle at last as well. Now, what didn't change? Well, cruise mode still uses a soft blur for some encounters rather than fully seamless flight. The Quantum Essence device has a mass limit. Okay, fundamental redesigns some critics wanted, they're not here. And that's the filter in action. Bethesda has only said yes to feedback that matched their own instincts. The update is coherent because they didn't try to please everyone, right? So, guys, let me know. Did this new update work for you? Cruise mode alone changes the feel of the game in my opinion. Flying through space for the first time, watching your ship actually move, and being able to encounter lots of different POIs as you go through, it delivers on a promise that was missing at launch. The X-Tech gives endgame players something to chase, which is really good, and the Quantum Entanglement device means NG Plus finally makes sense to engage with, so I will be doing that later on. But the real takeaway here, Bethesda didn't rebuild Starfield. This is not Starfield 2.0. They listened to the players who've never left. They've matched their feedback against their own vision, and they delivered it 3 years later, no less. Whether that timeline is acceptable, that is up to debate. Personally, I think the silence from Bethesda really hurt their brand, and it hurt the game. But the changes are real, and they've landed. Guys, if this was useful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will be doing more feature enhancements, more discussions around the Terran Armada and the Free Lanes updates as we go into these. If you did like this content, guys, please hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and we are on the road to 5,000 subs. It's amazing. Guys, what do you want to see? Drop it in the comments. What was your biggest complaint at the launch as well? And did Free Lanes actually fix it? Thank you guys, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good day, everybody.